What would the global economic impact be if a clean, unlimited energy source were suddenly discovered and made accessible to all? New Industrial Revolution. The first industrial revolution at its core was a search for cheap, clean fuel. European society was built around cheap, low-cost firewood. However, about the 1600s population growth and a lot of wars reduced the forest area. Whale oil was abundant but then got expensive. Mineral coal was much cheaper and cleaner than firewood. You could burn it inside without smoking out the house. But it required a lot of innovation to design pumps to transport out groundwater, elevators to lift things, new pressure vessels, for example steam engines, new alloys to build those high-pressure engines, new sources of transport to move all that stuff. And once you have a train moving coal around, why not build a passenger train too? Rock oil petroleum was great. It was already a liquid and only needed minimal processing. Where I live, about 80 of the grid energy goes to industry users. Of that, in total about 70 of the energy use goes to a handful of major manufacturers. Like, under 35 corporations. A major cost for them is buying energy. They would love reduced costs. The person who discovers it would probably die by suicide. Lol. Jokes aside, it would throw the world into chaos as we know it. But it would take time to impact. Because making it accessible to everyone would mean people having to leave a lot of things, such as their vehicles primarily. Initially, you'd see an economic collapse. A large segment of the world's economy is based on current energy supply. The appearance of such an energy source would cause a great upheaval. Eventually, it may prove to be beneficial, assuming the economic collapse doesn't result in WEI. I'd lose my job at an oil company. Like the sun? This question is not a hypothetical, but is what has been happening for most of human history, fossil fuel era notwithstanding. The digital revolution has produced affordable polysilicon solar harvesters, solar panels, and wind turbines that were not available before to capture this energy, and we are only just beginning to see the impacts of transitioning to the fuel source that you describe at the scale of modern society. The last time this happened was when we figured out how to access the stored solar energy and biomass with fire. What is the cost and construction time of said energy source? We already essentially have that technology. It's nuclear power. It just costs a lot and takes a long time to build. Okay. 1. That is not a stupid question. That is incredibly complex and looks into geopolitics, economics, and even religion would be impacted. The most likely scenario is that the technology would be killed and the person that did it murdered. The scenario where everyone has it. Rare earth mineral mining would boom. Batteries, etc. Unless this tech utilizes another form, the growth in technology, medicine, travel, interplanetary ec would be huge. The lives of people should improve across the globe. However, the biggest issue on our planet is overpopulation and climate change. If we suddenly had access to a clean, unlimited energy source, it would be a game changer for the economy and the environment. Costs for pretty much everything could drop, making life cheaper and cleaner. We'd see a big shift in jobs and industries, with some growing and others shrinking. Countries wouldn't have to rely on importing energy, which could shake up global politics a bit. There'd be a big upfront cost to switch over to this new energy, but in the long run, it would likely lead to a more sustainable and fair world. It'd result in a massive increase in quality of life for most of the world. The oil-based economies in South America, the Middle East, and Northern Europe would collapse overnight. You'd see mass starvation followed by violent revolutions. Once the new facilities are operational, no one would ever mine or drill for anything that would be used as fuel ever again. Coal is dead. Uranium is dead. Oil still has value because it's useful for a lot of things other than burning. But the demand has just taken a major crash, and the price of oil is now about as important to the average person as the price of hay. Several states are now facing massive job and revenue losses. Will the last person out of West Virginia please turn off the lights? We're going to be fixing a lot of problems with energy inefficient strategies. It would likely result in the destruction of the planet. And not on the global warming we might get fucked, but the planet will be fine type way, but literally the destruction of the planet. Probably the sun too, or even the universe. Unlimited energy is not possible. Thermodynamics doesn't allow it. So, if you try to predict what would happen if a device had is essentially a bomb of such magnitude it makes the sun seem like a puppet. It would be the end of all things as we know them. Have you ever seen that TikTok meme where the guy invents pockets for women's clothing? Just by using the language in the question, I'd have to assume the unlimited energy source would be ambient and able to be used from anywhere even if the person using it doesn't actually know what it is. You would need to give more parameters. Is it a fuel? Is it a natural substance? Does it come from another creature like the spice from Dune? The world would become a better place probably, but I still want that V8 rumble not mean? We already have that, solar. For poor countries it would be a massive impact. For rich countries, a portion of the most wealthy would suddenly be less rich. Like nuclear? They'd suppress it, force an accident with it, and claim it's too dangerous to be used widely. Honest to God, between the private interest and the government counterparts, we'd never see the benefits of something like that. Depending on who creates it. If it was someone like the guy who created insulin and refused to patent it 'cause it's for the good of all, it will be widespread and help the world. If it was by a Wall Street company, it will be charging you as much as the market can bear and will be bigger than the rest of all the companies in NYSE and NASDAQ combined. Eventually MBAs will take over and still end up screwing up the company. If it was created in a company in China or Russia, most of the world will be screwed for a long time. Maybe WW3 will happen over control of the technology, assuming it's not something easily reverse engineered.